Today I want to talk to you guys about croissants. I know that seems like a funny way to start a podcast episode, but hear me out. So I am obsessed with the croissants at Trader Joe's. They have almond ones as well, but they have these chocolate croissants in particular. They're frozen and they come in a pack of 4. And when you get them, you put them out on a pan or like on parchment paper so that they can blow up. And it takes several hours and they get nice and big and flaky. Well, one day I forgot I had a box of these in the back of my freezer and I was cleaning out my freezer and I was like, I am so eating these chocolate croissants. So I pull them out, I put them on the pan and I start letting them blow up. About 2 hours in, I was like, I just really want these chocolate croissants. And I don't know if I have the patience to wait another 6 hours for these to get big and fat and flaky. So I just decided to put them in the oven and see what happened. So I put them in the oven. They take about 20 minutes to cook. And my husband looks in the oven. He goes, I don't know that these are done. And I looked at him and I said, nope, they're done. They're done. He was like, what did you do? And I said, I just didn't wait for them to like get nice, big, and puffy. And he was like, oh. I was like, this could be very bad. And he was like, it could be just fine though. And I said, okay, well, I guess we'll see. So I pull them out and I wait for them to cool a little bit. And then I grab one and I start biting into it. And it just really wasn't the same. My husband actually said he really liked them, but for me, it was not the same. You know, one of the wonderful things about a big, gorgeous chocolate croissant is that it's flaky and it feels really airy and light, and you get all those like kind of crispy layers and then like the soft layers on the inside. This was not that. We'll just say it was not even close to that. It was dense. It was all layers were together. It was kind of smushy. Like when you took a bite into it, everything kind of smushed together. It was still good. It was still a croissant, but it was nowhere near where it needed to be. And you're probably saying, Carina, how does this have to do with design? So I think my impatience for wanting that chocolate croissant as fast as I could get it has an awful lot to do with design. You know, as a designer, one of the things that we have is impatience. I think that's kind of a human flaw, you know, or trait. I tend to be a little bit impatient about things. I want to move fast. I mean, ask my team. We move really fast on things. But in particular, when we're starting a design business, one of the things that we will do is we will not wait for ourselves to rise, give ourselves the time to rise to the event. And instead, we just immediately, you know, after an hour or two, put ourselves in the oven and start baking. And I want to say this. We do things differently in Design Suite. We always have. It is really different than university structure. It's definitely different than any other DIY project or course that there is out there. We just do things really differently from everybody else. And so I'm not talking about moving fast, because I think anyone and everyone, especially if you're trying to become a designer, has to move fast. You really do, especially with AI and all the other things coming out, which we're addressing in our program to make sure that our designers are using it and being smart about it. But what I am talking about is sometimes we get into the field and instead of waiting for ourselves to find style, to become better designers, to become like the things that we need to do in order to become a great designer, which we do at that's the whole point of the first year of our program. What happens is you spend an hour or two getting a little bit of education. So you take one DIY course for a couple $1,000s out there, or you take a watercolor course, or you take you like go and watch videos on the internet to teach you Illustrator, or you go take some Skillshare classes. So you're kind of like dabbling, but you feel like you're getting all of this education, right? It's because you're like working so hard at it. You feel like you're getting this education. And then you start designing. And before you understand sales or what you're doing or anything, you go ahead and you try really hard to start your own shop and start selling. And you pop yourselves into the oven and there you go. And any of you who have taken boot camp, you have heard me say, like, honestly, if you're in your own shop, you are going to struggle. It is very, very hard to make it in your own shop, especially now. It was bad back then, 15 years ago. It's terrible now, okay? So you pop yourself into the oven, you come out, and you don't understand, why is it a little dense? Why does it not taste like a chocolate croissant? Why is it like sticky and gooey and not exactly the right texture, right? And a lot of it has to do with like not knowing that you were supposed to wait a little longer, or you're supposed to get more education, or you're supposed to understand sales, or you didn't, have someone telling you the secret recipe, like maybe you should put some egg wash on it to make it nice and shiny, right? And all of this to say that there is a time period, you guys, for getting things right. And I know this, and honestly, I think you know this in your heart as well. There is a time period for getting things right. And I actually I have like nothing against, especially like digital courses out there that are going to teach you different aspects of design. I actually think they're very, very helpful. They're skill-based, and that's important. We have to learn skills as designers. And kind of the piece that everybody seems to be missing is understanding how to become profitable. When we don't understand how to become profitable as a designer, that means we don't have any marketing vehicles or sales vehicles in order to design. It really creates a stuck designer. Because why continue to design if you can't actually sell anything that you have, right? I would not have continued designing if I didn't make lots and lots of money doing it, right? And I definitely wouldn't be teaching it if I didn't know exactly how to make money doing it. So if you are stuck and you are like, why am I still sitting here at hour number 2 or 3 trying to blow up, but I'm not in the right conditions? Like, so for example, going back to the croissant analogy, my kitchen sometimes is a little cold. And so sometimes I'll have to turn on the oven just to start heating the kitchen up a little bit, because the croissants will blow up better in that environment, right? Sometimes I put the croissants out and they don't ever blow up at all. They just sit there and they remain flat. And it's a lot because there's like not enough heat in the room, or I didn't put a towel over them to like kind of like help them insulate or defrost, well. And sometimes I think we're doing that. Like we haven't given ourselves the right conditions to bloom. We haven't given ourselves the right things that we need, heat, things to like make us become better designers, so that by the time we head to the oven, we turn out exactly the way we are supposed to. So I really think that as you're moving forward as a designer, make sure that you are putting those right conditions into place. And I will say that we have a very inexpensive $27 product that does exactly what it should do for $27, right? I always tell people you get what you pay for. It's a low price product because the goal of it is to help you understand strategy. The goal of it is to understand what will not work. And it's to open your mind, especially if you're a new designer or you're a struggling designer, like you've been doing this for a few months and you still haven't made sales, to give you some real aha moments. And I will say this, boot campers have big aha moments. We're like, oh, I was doing that thing and that's why I'm not making sales. Oh, I don't have distribution. That's why I'm not making sales. Oh, I don't know how to use other people's platforms. That's why I'm not making sales. And honestly, self-awareness is almost key, like number one key thing. If you can just understand why you're not doing what you ought to be doing, that is key. And then of course we have a program called Design Suite, and that's for people who want to go fast. And we do things very differently than the norm out there. And we do it on purpose that way because we have seen very high level results out of our designers who are going through the program if we do certain things to help them along the way. So that's a little bit about the programs, but all of that really just to say this: give yourself time to bake. Give yourself the time to grow. Give yourself the right conditions to get nice and puffy, right? And now this definitely, finishing this episode, makes me want to eat a chocolate croissant. Thanks guys for joining me today. I can't wait to see you guys soon. Hey, did you know that you can visit me at makeanddesign.com to learn more about this podcast and join my VIP group for weekly freebies? I can't wait to see you there.